keeping up with the motto that learning be a joy and teaching a pleasure. Here we are with a remote teaching and learning process to bridge the gap. Happy learning, students!
Hello students, a warm welcome to all of you. My name is Neha Shetty from Thakur Vidya Mandir High School and Junior College. Here we are for subject Indoor Games, and the topic for today is Table Tennis Part 1. Index, Introduction, History, Changes in Rule, Equipment, which is ball, table, net, racket or paddle. Introduction. It is an exemplary game of skill requiring remarkable hand-eye coordination by the players. Table tennis was first called as ping pong. It is a sport in which 2 or 4 players hit a lightweight ball back and forth across the table using small rackets. Ping pong became the game's registered name during 1901 until it was altered to table tennis. The game takes place on a hard table divided by a net. Except for the initial serve, the rules are generally as follows. Players must allow the ball played toward them to bounce one time on their side of the table and must return it so that it bounces on the opposite side of the table for at least once. A point is scored when a player fails to return the ball within the rules. Play is fast and demands quick reaction. Spinning the ball alters its trajectory and limits the opponent's option, giving the hitter a greater advantage. Table tennis is governed by a worldwide organization, International Table Tennis Federation, which is also known as ITTF, which was founded in 1926. The ITTF currently includes 226 member associations. The table tennis official rules are specified in the ITTF handbook. Table tennis has been an Olympic sport since 1988 with several event categories. From 1988 until 2004, these were men's single, women's single, men's double, and women's double. Since 2008, a team event has been played instead of doubles.
Now let's begin with the history. The sport originated in Victorian England, where it was played among the upper class as an after dinner parlour game. It has been suggested that makeshift versions of the game were developed by British military officers in India around the 1860s or 1870s who brought it back with them. A row of books stood up along the center of the table as a net. Two or more books served as rackets and were used continuously for hitting a golf ball. The name ping pong was in wide use before the British manufacturer J. Jacks and Son Limited trademarked it in 1901. The name ping pong then became to describe the game played using the rather expensive Jacks equipment. With other manufacturers calling it table tennis, a similar situation arose in the United States, where Jacks sold the rights to the ping pong name to Parker Brothers. Parker Brothers then enforced its trademark for the term in the 1920s, making the various associations change their names to table tennis instead of the more common but trademarked term. The next major innovation was by James W. Gibb, a British enthusiast of table tennis who discovered novelty cellulite balls on a trip to US in 1901 and found them to be ideal for the game. This was followed by E.C. Good, who in 1901 invented the modern version of racket by fixing a sheet of pimpled or stippled rubber to the wooden blade. Table tennis was growing in popularity by 1901 to the extent that the tournaments were being organized. Books were being written on the subject, and an unofficial World Championship was held in 1902. In 1921, the Table Tennis Association was found and in 1926 renamed the English Table Tennis Association. The International Table Tennis Federation, which is also known as ITTF, followed in 1926. The first table tennis world championship tournament was played in London during 1926. The United States Table Tennis Association now called as USA Table Tennis, was formed. In the 1930s, Edgar Snow commented in Red Star over China that the communist forces in the Chinese Civil War had a passion for the English game of table tennis, which found bizarre. On the other hand, the popularity of the sport waned in the 1930s Soviet Union, partly because of the promotion of the team and military sports, and partly because of the theory that the game had an adverse health effect. In the 1950s, paddles that were used as rubber sheet combined with an underlying sponge layer changed the game dramatically, introducing the greatest spin and speed. These were introduced to the Britain by sports good manufacturer S.W. Hancock Limited. The use of speed glue beginning in the mid 1980s increased the spin and the speed even further, resulting in changes to the equipment to slow and game down. The table tennis was introduced as an Olympic sport at the Olympics in 1988. Table tennis became the number one racket game in China, Japan, and United States. Early years of the international competitions were dominated by European countries and is a major sport in England and Hungary. In the Philippines, it is also the fast becoming popular sport. It is now included as one of the events in the athletic sports meet.
Below is a picture of a table tennis equipment which was used in 1800s.
Changes in the rule. After the 2000 Olympics in Sydney, the ITTF instituted several rule changes that were aimed at making table tennis more viable as a televised spectator sport. First, the older 38mm balls were officially replaced by 40mm balls in October 2000. This increased the ball's air resistance and effectively slowed down the game. By that time, players had begun increasing the thickness of the fast sponge layer on their paddles, which made game excessively fast and difficult to watch on television. A few months later, the ITTF changed from a 21 point to 11 point scoring system, and the serve rotation was reduced from 5 points to 2, effective in September 2001. This was intended to make games more paced and exciting. The ITTF also changed the rules on service to prevent a player from hiding the ball during service, in order to increase the average length of the rallies and reduce the service advantage effective in 2002. For the opponent to have time to release a serve is taking place. The ball must be tossed a minimum 16 cm in the air. The ITTF states that all the events after July 2014 are played with a new polymaterial ball.
Now let's see what are the equipment used for this game. First, ball. It is small, cellulite, spherical, white or yellow in color, 40mm in diameter and 2.5 grams in weight. It is fragile but quite hard to break unless stepped on. The ITTF approved standard balls has a uniform bounce. If it is dropped from a height of 12 inches, that is 30.5 cm on a plywood, it should bounce up to 8 3/4 to 9 3/4 inches, which means 22 to 25 cm. Table. The table is 2.74 meter long, 1.525 meter wide, and 76 centimeter high with any continuous material so long, as the table yields a uniform bounce of about 23 centimeter. When a standard ball is dropped onto it from a height of 30 centimeter, which is 11.8 inches, or about 77%, the table or playing surface is uniformly dark colored and matte, divided into two halves by a net at 15.25 cm in height. The ITTF approves only wooden tables or their derivatives. Concrete table with steel net or a solid concrete partition are sometimes available in the outside public spaces such as parks. Net. It is placed at the center, dividing the table into two equal halves. The outside edge of the post holding the net are 15.25 cm, which is 6 inches from the outside edge of the table. Thus, the net is 6 feet long. Racket or paddle. Players are equipped with a laminated wooden racket covered with rubber on one or two sides depending on the grip of the player. The ITTF uses the term racket, though bat is common in Britain and paddle in US and Canada. The wooden portion of the racket, often referred to as the blade, commonly features anywhere between 1 and 7 plies of the wood, though cork, glass fiber, carbon fiber, aluminum fiber, and Kevlar are sometimes used. According to the ITTF regulations, at least 85% of the blade by thickness shall be natural wood. Common wood type includes balsa, limba, and cypress or hinoki, which is popular in Japan. The average size of the blade is about 17 centimeters, which is 6.7 inches long, and 15 centimeters, which is 5.9 inches wide. Although the official restrictions only focus on the flatness and the rigidity of the blade itself, these dimensions are optimal for the most play styles. Table tennis regulations allow different surfaces on each side of the racket. Various types of the surfaces provide various levels of spin or speed, and in some cases they nullify spin.